Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Shabilo. Today's show will have Rick Fior from Marquis Downs and Laurie Bradley from the Saskatoon Transportation Link. And as always, we'd like to connect with you.
Tweet us at Shaw TV Saskatoon. Find us on Facebook or email shawtvconnect@shaw.ca. You can also watch previous interviews on Shaw TV's YouTube channel at youtube.com/Shaw TV Saskatoon.
Marquis Downs and live racing is getting underway again, and I've invited the manager of Marquis Downs and live racing, Rick Fior, to come with us, give us a little bit of background. And Rick, thank you for coming down and making some time with us today.
Well, you're more than welcome, Randy. Anytime we can get out and promote racing in Marquis Downs, it certainly helps us out.
I want to maybe start with a little bit about you and your background, how you got involved with racing. And
Well, my mom and dad were involved in racing back in the 50s. And they used to run horses in Calgary and Edmonton. Back then there was a circuit, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, and Regina. And they were involved in horses in that circuit. And then in about mid-60s, 66, 67, 68, in there, Calgary and Edmonton dropped out and went on their own. So then Saskatoon and Regina decided they were going to run. And basically at one time in the early 70s, we ran 2 weeks in Saskatoon and 2 weeks in Regina. So I've been a kid always growing up at the track. It's always something I wanted to do, is become involved in racing, but never really thought about it much until one summer I was just out of high school, and the manager of racing there knew my dad and asked me if I wanted a job at the track. And I've been there ever since, and I think this is year number 40.
wow.
I'm going to be at Marquis Downs, so it's been quite a run. And you know, when you think you've seen everything and know everything, you quickly learn in this business. You learn stuff new every day and see things you didn't expect.
Change is always constant. What is happening at the track here this coming year? Let's start there.
Well, we open up in early June. We go till about mid-September. And basically we're running our 25 days. We're going to run 6:35 post time, which is new this year. We've always run at 7:05. But we kind of thought, especially on Fridays, that you know, sometimes people tend to go home after work and then they sit on the couch for a while, and then it's hard to get motivated to go back out for 7 o'clock. So what we're trying to do is get people that right from work, maybe come out to the Downs and have a drink and maybe supper. Or if people go to the bar after work and instead of going home, maybe they'll come out and check out racing in Marquis Downs. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we changed to 6:35. We think it's going to help us in the long run, because people can still come to the track and they can still go out and go to other events maybe that they had planned that night. Racing will be done by 9:05. So we think that's going to be very, very beneficial to us.
Perfect. How many, or can you share with us at this point some of the jockeys that are coming back? Do we have some names?
Well, we have 13 or 14 jockeys right now.
Yeah.
We rely on mostly Trinidad and Jamaica. We bring probably 11 or 12 guys from Trinidad and Jamaica over to ride, just because we found that in North America now people are getting bigger instead of smaller. You know, even hockey players, football players are now bigger than they were 10 or 15 years ago. So we have to go there to find, I guess the word would be, people who can make a weight of about 120 pounds. And that's not easy to do. So we have a good mixture of probably 60-65% from Trinidad, 35-40% from Jamaica. And then we have our local guys, Neville Stevenson and Tim Moccasin will be back. So a lot of people come out to see Tim Moccasin. He's been a leading rider here for a number of years. Neville Stevenson has been a leading rider here before. Niam Samaru's coming back from Trinidad. He's been a leading rider. He's missed the last couple of years because of commitments at home. So he's back this year. So I think many of the trainers have told me that this might be the best jockey colony we've had in the last 20 years. So I'm really excited to see them ride.
What about the field of horses that you have coming? Are they local? Are there some coming from other provinces?
Most of our horses, actually, you know, probably about 90 and 95% of our horses are from Saskatchewan. They're owned by Saskatchewan people, kind of trained by Saskatchewan people. So, but we do get some come from Alberta and Manitoba. But we really rely on our people within. This is really a Saskatchewan sport here in the province, and our horse supply will probably be somewhere between 250 and 300, which when you only run 2 days a week is good, because you run about 100 horses a day. So, you know, you need 200 for a couple days, and then you have to have 100 sitting around for the next weekend and get some carryover horses come over from the weekend before. So I think our horse supply will be okay. We've found that, of course, the bigger the fields, chances are the more money they're going to bet. So we like to get as full of fields as we can. We think that certainly enhances the public when they want to wager. They find that they have more fun wagering on the bigger fields.
I know that attending there, sometimes not necessarily betting, but there's a wonderful atmosphere. It's certainly dynamic and energized, but there's also the food service end of things there that people can just come down and take in the racing and bet if they like.
Yeah, we try to cater ourselves. We call ourselves, even though we're a sport, we like to consider ourselves kind of a family sport where we like people to bring the kids out. I mean, kids love the horses, and there's lots of places for them to eat. We have the concessions. We have a barbecue pit out in the tarmac. If you want to come out for an evening of racing and you want to have some fancier food, you can book a table in the Marquis Terrace. So we have all different venues where people can go. And I know we're almost sold out, but we have a cookhouse there where we entertain groups of 50 or more people. And I think right now there's probably only 2 or 3 dates left for the season. So that's become very popular. People come out for staff parties. They bring groups of people out, and we feed them in there, and they can order off the menu, and we prepare it for them. So it's we have lots of choices at Marquis Downs.
If people wanted to see live racing in this province, where would they have to go?
We run the only live racing in Saskatchewan right now.
So Regina's not?
Regina has been out of racing since 1988.
Okay.
So since then, since 88, all the live racing has been in Saskatoon, thoroughbred racing.
And there's no harness racing at all then?
No, there was up until about 2010, but we haven't been involved in that since then.
What is the draw in terms of, I guess, the number of people that are involved in working? There's not just, 10 or 12, 13 jockeys. There's trainers, there's people involved on the vet side.
I think the last statistics I saw, for an example, when a race night is going on at Marquis Downs there, we employ 105 people just on a single race night. There's probably upwards of about 50 trainers in the backstretch that train the horses. And usually there's somewhere, I believe, about 250 owners or more that own these horses. So it's a fairly big industry because all these horses have to eat and stuff like that. So a lot of times the oats and the hay and all that kind of stuff is bought from farmers surrounding the Saskatoon area here. So there's quite a bit of an economic impact when horse racing's in town.
I can see that the number of times I've been there, that it's a well-run machine. Obviously, you've been there a little while, and some familiar faces that are there. Do you find that the people that are coming are new? And you mentioned the family aspect of it. I think that's encouraging.
Yeah, it is. It really is encouraging. If you look at our crowds about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was probably 45 and older, maybe even 50 and older. Well, in that time span, we now, if you come out on a Friday or Saturday night, we have like university students there. We have young people there who like to bring their families out. So our demographic has changed a lot in the last 15 years. I think just because there's a curiosity always between horses and jockeys, and people are always fascinated by that for some reason. And it's a competition. Every race is a competition. And people like to see horses compete and jockeys compete. And they always like to see who's going to win because everybody has their favorite jockey. Some people even have their favorite horse they check out to see when it's running. So I think we provide some real good entertainment, family entertainment.
I've never seen Seabiscuit run there, so I'm not sure if there's going to be just a movie or if it's a real thing that happened. But are there some notable horses that come to your mind over the years that were here and maybe moved on?
Well, you know what? Most of our horses stay here. When you talk to the owners and that, they like to run here because if they ship their horse elsewhere, they only can watch it a lot of times run on TV. And people want to be there to see the excitement of their horse run. And if you've ever owned a horse, you know that when that horse comes pounding down the stretch and has the lead 100 yards before the wire, your heart is absolutely pounding. I mean, it's probably the most exciting thing ever when your horse wins. So most of our people keep their horses here. Some people, you know what, they try their horses at other tracks, which is fine. You know what I mean? We're not saying that you have to stay here. It's a free enterprise sport. So, but no, most of them stay here and support our meet. They know how important it is for us to run big fields to generate that handle. So they've been really, really good. They probably could go elsewhere and run for more money, but they like staying here to watch their horse run.
What would be an average attendance that you'd see on a typical night if it was a day that's sunny and about 20 degrees outside?
I would say probably 1,000 to 1,200, I'm thinking, somewhere in that range. You know, I know on the Derby, you know, which we run the last day of racing, the place is packed. There's probably over 2,000 people there or more, you know. But that's a pretty good attendance for us. You know what I mean? When we went from 10 or 15 years ago, 300 people there, we're up over 1,200 now around that area. So I think we've done a real good job of promoting Marquis Downs in the last 10 or 15 years.
I've noticed that we have an elevator there now that can get you to different levels. And I think in terms of bad weather, if I wanted to go, do you make an announcement, or is there a drop dead time in terms of rain or inclement weather?
Yeah, usually if the weather gets bad, we kind of have a drop dead time so that people can be notified, probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, at which time we send out a fax or I guess an email to all the, you know, probably people here at Shaw and CFUC and all the stations around town. We also go, of course, Facebook and Twitter is massive nowadays. So we post on Facebook and Twitter. Or if somebody's unsure, they can always call the track. There's usually somebody there all day answering the phone that can tell you whether we're racing or not. Now, we had the track resurfaced about 3 years ago, and we had a new base put on. We had sand added to the track. So nowadays, it really has to rain a lot before we cancel. But, I mean, if it rains steady for a day or two or something, I mean, it doesn't matter how good a track you have, you're not going to be able to run.
That's just the reality.
That's just the reality of life. It's like any other sport. If it rains too much, you just can't run.
And there's the safety of the horses running in that.
Well, our concern in Marquis Downs is always the safety of course, the horse and the jockey. I mean, the jockey puts his life on the line every time he goes out and rides a race. And these horses go like, you know, 30 kilometers an hour or something. So, you know, it's fairly fast. When you fall off and you hit the track, there's no cushion on that track. It's rock hard.
And just to close out, the last change is the admission that we want to make people aware of. Yeah,
we found that the cost of production of running a meet has gone up so drastically in the last number of years. And, you know, it's something we certainly thought hard about over the winter, and we really agonized over it. But I think if there's some solace, we still offer free parking. Our program is going to be a color program there. It's going to be enhanced. It's going to be beautiful looking. And I know that most people come out, you buy a program to find out who the horses are and who's riding them, maybe who the owners and trainers are. So if you purchase a program for $5, your admission is free. So most people buy a program. So technically, you buy a program, you still get your free admission.
Perfect. Rick, thank you for coming down. I wish you all the success this season, and we'll see you at the track.
Well, thanks, Randy. It's a pleasure to be here, and we hope to see you at the track this summer.
I will be there.
Good, thanks.
Good. We'll be right back.